speak up if you can't hear me. So sorry for the delay, everyone. My name is Greg Hazen. I'm a senior software program analyst for Telligen, and today we're talking about JavaFx. We started using JavaFx about a year and a half ago, and we needed to create a desktop application, and we wanted to move away from the old swing, which isn't as pretty, move towards more of an updated interface, web technologies as possible. So we looked into a few options, but we went with JavaFx because we use web technology to create a user interface. We had to create a multi-user desktop application as our requirement. So what is JavaFx? JavaFx is a replacement of Swing. Swing in Java is a way of building user interfaces. You have layouts, buttons, tables, lists, all those typical user interface elements, and it's been around for a long time, Swing has, and JavaFx is kind of a replacement of that. And so it's a framework for building a rich user interface with interactions. My disclaimer for the presentation is that we only use a very limited amount of JavaFx features. There's a lot of features like 3D animation, multi-touch, accelerated graphics, and all kinds of stuff. And I think even mobile devices and stuff for JavaFx. We only use a web component and to make our features look good. And so this presentation will be focused on that. It can also be integrated with Swing, and so you can have your old Swing layouts or any kind of menus or whatever Swing that you would like. But you can also integrate some JavaFx if you want, specifically the multi-touch on feature or specifically accelerated graphics or that kind of interaction. Lots of cool stuff in JavaFx. A lot of times you'll hear JavaFx associated with NetBeans, and that's because NetBeans, a lot of versions come built in JavaFx support. They make it super easy to start up a JavaFx project, and you'll see that later in my demo. And there's also support for Eclipse, though, through plugins. I haven't tried them myself, but through a quick search on Google, there were some plugins easily available for JavaFx. So, some options for using JavaFx in terms of the user interface feature that we were wanting to build. The first option is FXML. This is JavaFx HTML-like language for building pages and structuring the pages, and it's very much like HTML, but it's not HTML. It's an XML markup language, and I believe it's only for JavaFx. You can use CSS as style it still, so you can kind of do your web development structure of a web developer, user interface designer can build with the FXML CSS, do all that while the developer is on the Java side. The JavaFx also comes with a designer tool called Theme Builder, and that's your typical WYSIWYG drag and drop components and build your built-in designer pages in there, look and feel. And then you can generate the FXML from that. You don't have to recompile to see your changes in the FXML. Great benefit of that. The FXML is not a compiled language, so you can run your application and be modifying your FXML at the same time and see those changes happen. It is possible to integrate scripting languages like JavaScript to handle events from FXML. I believe it's a little more limited, but again, our experience wasn't with FXML. We went with the next option. So alternatively, in JavaFx, you can use some of the web components, and specifically a web engine and web view. in JavaFx, and this turns your application into a web browser. You'll see how easy it is later to do. This opens up lots of opportunities for using common web technologies. This is very beneficial. We're more familiar with it, and debugging. There's a bigger community already using these libraries. Major downside to the package. Pages they get packaged into the jar depending on how you're building your JavaFx application. So if you want to modify your pages, they're packaged in. It's not easy to make the changes on the fly and see them while running the application. There are ways around this. If you build your application to load external HTML pages, for example, we played around with this, didn't completely implement it, but the other option around that is you can actually develop your pages because of common web technology. You can develop them in a browser like Chrome. We did find Chrome was the most similar to how it was going to look in JavaFx. So we did that a lot. Chrome has a wonderful debugger, and yeah, it was pretty cool. Once you get the pages into the JavaFx, there's not a built-in debugger like in Chrome where you just hit the F12 and the debugger console comes up. But what you can do is use Firebug Lite. If you're not familiar with Firebug Lite, it's similar to the debugging console in Chrome, and we'll see it later. In terms of building pages, using this option, it becomes very flexible. With my limited experience of FXML option, that first option, it's more flexible because you have libraries like Bootstrap where it's super easy to specify this many columns is how wide this component will be. Or if you want resizing capabilities, a library like Bootstrap is able to do that right away. Not going to be as easy to do that in FXML. FXML is also not quite as intuitive as some of the common web technologies that we're used to. FXML is also kind of reminiscent of the layout in Swing. If you're familiar with Swing, the layout can become pretty difficult to get exactly what you want. And with what I've seen in FXML, it's kind of similar. So we did choose this option. How this is going to work, and from a high-level perspective, is the HTML, JavaScript, CSS, any libraries that you choose are going to be sitting on top of the JavaFx public APIs, which includes WebView. WebView is going to be your component that you throw into your application to view the pages. And then WebView is actually viewing what WebEngine is producing. And WebEngine is based on WebKit. If you're familiar with that, WebKit has HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, SVG support, and so it's based off of, but I don't think it actually is the same thing. So the WebView allows you to just load in an HTML page. For example, we can plug in a link from the internet and see the page as it would look in a browser, and we'll see a demo of that later. Because the web component is in JavaFx application, that means you can also use Java application to handle your interactions. The cool part of this is we don't need a server to bounce off of now. We don't have to create the REST API on the server. On the desktop application itself, we can grab a file from the file system because the same web security rules will apply. And we can manipulate that file, send information to the page. We can react to events in the page, and it's all just kind of packaged into this desktop application. So debugging wise, as I was mentioning earlier, using more common web technologies allows for better support because you have all this community of users that are using it in other web applications. So you have an issue in your application, you can just Google it, and typically you're going to find what you need about that bug. You can build and test in the browser before, as I was saying before, we heavily use Chrome to design our pages and debug them prior to moving them into the desktop application, the JavaFx application. And using Carbon Blade, you can debug in the application itself. A major drawback that we found was AngularJS breaks Carbon Blade in this situation, so we weren't able to use AngularJS at all in our application because in our only debugging option in terms of using the back end of the pages would break. So at this point, any questions about this stuff so far before we head into a demo? So, demo. I was going to include a random picture of her and just say, what does this have to do with JavaFx? Nothing. I'm just a proud dad. But I got smarter and have a hello world integrated into the picture. So the first demo I'm going to do is a basic hello world, and this is in NetBeans. If you go File, New Project, JavaFx applications, Finish, boom, you have a working hello world example of JavaFx. So we'll see that, and it's super easy to create, as I just described. The next thing is going to be a hello web, where we actually turn it into a web browser, like we were describing in the presentation. And I'm going to finish off with a demo of what we've done in our application called Quincy. And we will go from there. So I'll switch over to NetBeans at this point. So the first application is a single class, and this is everything exactly how NetBeans produced it. You can see single class, very simple. You have a main method that launches your JavaFx application, and then a start method that runs when this application starts, obviously. And what they're doing here is creating a button in the web engine. They're telling it to be hello world. Say hello world on the button. When the button is pressed, we're going to print out hello world to the Java console. And then we're going to add that to our stack pane, our web view. And, sorry, not web view at this point, but our scene, JavaFx scene. And set that as our stage. This is similar. And if we use the XML route of doing this, then what we would do instead is have an fxml file that XML, you import a couple JavaFx libraries for creating controls and layouts, and then you would use either a horizontal box or some layout, similar again to button swing. And then here we have the button that says hello world. And then we can handle that button in action. In Java, we would say add this handler called handle commit button action to the scene. And then because we added that to fxml, it would be available. So same way as doing this. So to actually see this run, pulls up this window, we see our say hello world button. We press it, and in the Java console we get hello world. Again, File, new project, JavaFx, finish, and this project is running a JavaFx application. So not super exciting yet, just to show how simple it is. The next application I have is the exact same file, but I've added just a few lines of code. Here we're creating a web view, a web engine, and in the web engine we're loading Oracle.com, and then later we added to our scene. So everything is very similar, not much else. The only other thing I added here was an example of enabling Firebug Lite. So the web engine allows us to execute JavaScript from Java. This JavaScript is here. This is a copy and paste from what Firebug Lite has available online. And that will actually allow us to handle it. And then I added a browser.set on key release. And then if it's at 12 key, then we're going to enable Firebug Lite. So we'll run this. So not much code change. Very simple to add the web browser capability. And all of a sudden, we have a web browser. Super simple. In our example, we just loaded Oracle.com. The exact same thing happens if you want to load an HTML file where that refers to CSS and JavaScript or any other file that you want. And then the F12 example I mentioned, and press F12, that'll queue our listener, and then it should be downloading Firebug Lite. Yep. So we see down here, Firebug Lite. When you're inviting your applications within JavaFx, now you can use all these tools here to navigate the HTML, CSS, scripts connected if they're available to you still. We use this quite a bit in debugging. If it wasn't in Chrome, there were a few things that didn't happen in Chrome or we couldn't create in Chrome because of the interaction with database, for example, that we had to use Firebug Lite for. Great tool, free. So super easy to add web browsing capability to your JavaFx application. The next thing I'm going to show you is our application that we created. So the purpose behind this application, what we see here is a login page. All of this gray and the login screen is our web view. And we're just loading in login.html here. And then the insecurity behind it is handled separately. Where's my panic word? Okay. So in this application, the purpose of this application, this is all fake data. So just for our test environment, no worries about that. The whole purpose of this application is for our quality information network to report that they've interacted with the hospital and gave them this education tool. Or we received this data from the hospital that we have to report them later. So we can keep track of contacts, we can keep track of organizations, groups of organizations, create an encounter with, track encounters with the hospital, and then we have some reporting features that we created. JavaFx web browser automatically comes with some navigation features. If I right click, I can go back or reload pages. We also build in our more user-friendly kind of interface here for navigating. So if I go to a different page, I can go back and forth. This is really easy to add just by handling page events in the Java code. Some reporting. This is just an example of how we we're able to produce a page in HTML, JavaScript, handling these events. We're pulling from a database. Java does that kind of middleware database in the application, and we have a page. It's pretty quick, desktop application, so available to users pretty easy. Any questions? What browser are we looking at? This right here. So this is the JavaFx web view. And so the web view itself is essentially a browser. And the whole support it's somewhat limited. It is available through Oracle, and but this way of using the web view versus using XML, the other option, it is used by other companies. I've seen online some forums about it, but it is a little bit more unique. It's not the original use case. But you can see here it highlights the capabilities of the web view. So again, the web engine, web view based on WebKit. So you can load HTML5, all those different languages. Yep. Yep. All you need is JavaFx. And we've seen a couple incompatibility problems between Java versions, or a new version will come out with new features and have some issues, but nothing too out of the ordinary. To get around those Java version issues with student storage. And I also think forensic also that we haven't. We've gone more simple routes. We have a new Java version that we're testing right now. That's coming out on the government computer soon. So, we're I guess. Yeah, Alex, Dylan, and Nate have all worked on this project here, and kind of experienced the pains along with me, and we've all added a lot to the project. So, I don't know if you guys have any comments about your experience with it.
Don't use Mozilla WebKit with it. Mozilla WebKit actually leaves a lot of artifacts hanging around, so that's the only way to get rid of them or bring back some items is to resize the window itself, which makes it really draw. So, yeah, make sure you can try to avoid that. If you use Bootstrap, you will have to go through and remove all references to Mozilla WebKit. So there are some little intricacies, especially with CSS inside of JavaFx, but otherwise it works pretty well.
Now Alex came in on the project once it had been mostly completed, and he had more web background than the three of us did, and so it's been really great to have his experience to kind of clean things up and take care of a few bugs and things like that. In terms of organizing the project files, is kind of we kind of adapted as we went at times, because you don't have your typical separations on a server somewhere or whatever, and you have it all in one project. So that's been interesting. And one thing, if we had time and budget, I would have been interested in seeing maybe an integration with Spring or something to kind of couple some of the things we've created. But